Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a Desmos demo. I'm going to show you guys how to use the app called Desmos, and it's going to be something you're going to be using today. And we're going to use throughout the year a little bit. So first thing, you need to find it on your iPad. Okay, so I know currently you're watching this video, so it's going to be, if you're watching on the iPad, it might be hard to watch and do it at the same time. But what I want you to do when you're done watching this is go and kind of recreate the stuff that I did here. Or if you're watching this somewhere else, try to do this as well on your iPad. You're going to look for the app. It looks like this little green thing with some lines through it. It's on everybody's iPad, so you should find it. It's called Desmos. And when you click on it, it should pull up something that looks very, very similar to this. This is the web browser version, but it's pretty much exactly the same as the version on your iPad. In fact, on your iPad, you're going to have the same little bar that'll come up down here that you're going to type into where you type in all the different things I'm going to be showing you today, okay? And basically what Desmos is it is an app that will graph for you, okay? So you put in the equation, you put in the function, and it'll make the graph for you, which is pretty nice. So, for example, if I wanted to graph y equals 2x, I could type in y equals 2x, and I'll see that over here, it'll go ahead and graph that for me and show me what it looks like, okay? If I wanted to make it 2x squared, I could add the squared. Oh, look, now I have a parabola here for this quadratic function, and so on and so forth. I can keep doing that, all right? Now, I can graph more than one thing at the same time. So, for example, if I wanted to also graph, let's say y equals 2x squared minus 5, I could graph that as well, and here it'll do a different one. You can graph a whole bunch. As long as you keep clicking down as many graphs as you want to make there. I think you can fit like 10 or 15 or so, and you can just keep graphing them. Now, with each graph, I can do some additional things as well. So, for example, if I want to turn off a graph to not look at it or turn it back on to look at it again, these little things over here, these circles, will turn them off and turn them back on. So, do you know what? I don't want to look at this one, but I don't want to delete it, so I'll have it go away. And then later I might be like, oh yeah, let me look at that one again. I can click it and it'll come back. Okay, so that's another sort of thing you can do with Desmos. One thing you might notice is that your scale may get messed up depending on where you're touching on the screen. So you guys with your touch screens, if you use your fingers to kind of expand and go in, it'll change the scale here. And sometimes if you zoom too far in and too far out, it might mess you up a little bit. So there's a couple different things you can do to fix that. So up here we see this little wrench, and we can use that to kind of set a couple things for us. So the first one we can do is that we can set what the x and the y axis are going to be. So for example, if I want to change this to -10 to 10, and that will change that scale back for me so that I can see sort of the middle of my functions, the place that I want to look here, okay? Some other things you can do up here, you can change the grid if you see it, the arrow, some other things. This is the main controls down here that you want to do, okay? The last thing that you're going to want to do that's going to be very helpful is to figure out some points that are on your functions, and you can do that literally by just taking your finger and going over your function. So for me, I have to click, but for you guys, you can just take your finger and touch wherever you're at, and it'll show you either important points, like here I can see these important points, or for you guys, if you hold it down and go over like I'm doing here, it'll show you all the different points that are on there. Well, not literally every point because that would be infinite points and it can't do that, but it'll show you as many points as the computer will calculate for you as you go along there, okay? So there's a lot of really cool things you can do with Desmos, all right? Your assignment for today is going to be basically using Desmos to research or kind of think about some of these functions and how we're going to be calling transformations, okay? Basically, I'm going to give you a parent function and give you a couple different things I want you to do to that parent function. So for example, I could give you y equals x squared as your parent function, right? So if I type in x squared, and then you might have one where I say, hey, what if you do x squared minus 5, okay? So you have the parent function, and then I give you one thing to change its equation. What your goal is to look at how does that affect that original parent function? What's the difference between the original function, the x squared function, and your new function? Okay, and basically by doing that, you're going to do it for a couple different parent functions. I want you to try to come up with some rules. What are the things that change my parent functions? If I add a number, what does that do? If I multiply by a number, what does that do? If I subtract a number, what does that do? Maybe if I add numbers in different locations or subtract in different locations, what does that do to my graphs to make them look different? Do they go higher up, lower down? Do they go to the left or right? Do they get skinnier, fatter? Do they change shapes totally? I don't know. You'll have to tell me that as you do your experiments here later today. Okay, so this is the how to use Desmos, and you're going to use this to go ahead and kind of explore some of these transformations and then kind of come up with some conclusions. When you're done coming up with those conclusions, then go ahead and watch my follow-up video where I'll talk a little bit about what are some of the things you should have taken away from that exploration.